Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us today. Go ahead and grab a comfortable seat, maybe your favorite cup of coffee. I'm Jasmine, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co host, Vincent. Today, we're settling in for a relaxed, but honestly, deeply insightful chat. We've got an explainer lined up for you that just might fundamentally change the way you interact with absolutely everyone around you.
It is great to be here, Jasmine. Today, we're really unpacking a concept that perfectly bridges the gap between high level business strategy and profound personal growth. It's a conversation all about influence. And I promise you, by the time we finish our coffees today, you're going to see leadership in a completely new light.
Welcome to Empower Fantastic Life Jaeger Empowerment Academy. Compound your life, unleash your freedom of choice. So let's just dive right into today's central question. Why is it that the harder we push for what we want, the more people just seem to resist? Today's explainer is actually based on a brilliant book called It's Not About You by Bob Burg and John David Mann. It explores this really fascinating counterintuitive paradox. We often think influence means forcefully projecting our own goals onto other people. But the book argues that focusing solely on your own objectives, it actually destroys your ability to influence anyone. Right. And what's really interesting about this fundamental difference between pushing and pulling from a psychological perspective is how it plays out in basic human nature. When we operate purely from ego, saying things like, my numbers, my promotion, my brilliant idea, we are using force, we're pushing. And human nature literally dictates that when we feel pushed, our immediate reflexive instinct is to push right back. True influence, however, is all about attraction. It's a pull. You create this pull not by demanding compliance, but by shifting your entire focus over to the needs, the fears, and the benefits of the other person. You attract them by offering genuine value. To really see this dynamic in action, the book walks us through what I'd honestly call a classic business nightmare scenario. We follow a young, highly ambitious manager named Ben, and Ben is handed an impossible case study. He has exactly 1 week, literally just 7 days, to convince 500 traditional manufacturing employees to accept a corporate buyout. If he fails, the entire deal falls apart. So he has the title, he's got the mandate from the top, and the clock is aggressively ticking. And naturally, Ben does what most of us would probably do in that high-pressure situation. He prepares the perfect presentation. We're talking flawless logic, unassailable data, beautiful charts showing exactly why this buyout makes total financial sense. But he is met with an absolute wall of cold, silent apathy. Why? Because flawless logic simply cannot overcome zero trust. It really isn't until his wise mentor, Aunt Elle, steps in that Ben realizes his massive mistake. He was entirely focused on his own success. Aunt Elle teaches him that until he builds a genuine human connection, until those employees actually feel heard, all his perfect data is literally just noise. Exactly. Aunt Elle, along with a few veteran employees, helps Ben realize that he needs a complete paradigm shift. To save this deal, he has to master 5 core laws of leadership. And let me be clear, these aren't just empty corporate buzzwords. They are the architectural pillars of genuine influence. Let's bounce these back and forth, Jasmine, and really break down exactly what Ben had to learn. So the first law is hold the vision. In business strategy, a leader doesn't necessarily have to be the creative genius who invents the goal. That's a huge misconception. Instead, the leader's primary job is to be the anchor. When the market shifts, when a project hits a brick wall, or when the team is just feeling chaotic and frustrated, the leader is the one who guards the big picture and keeps everyone totally focused on the ultimate destination. I absolutely love this concept, and it translates so brilliantly into our everyday lives. Think about being on a long family road trip. You've been stuck in the car for 6 hours, it's sweltering hot, the kids are super cranky, and everyone's arguing over the radio. Holding the vision is basically like being the parent who stays completely calm, refuses to get pulled into the pickering, and gently reminds everyone, hey, I know we're tired, but imagine how amazing the ocean is going to feel when we finally hit the beach in an hour. You are holding that emotional destination steady for the people who have temporarily lost sight of it. That is a perfect analogy. The second law is build your people. In a traditional corporate mindset, we often make the mistake of treating employees as tools just to hit our quotas. But true leadership flips that entirely upside down. Your people are not tools to achieve the goal. The goal is actually the tool you use to build up your people. You provide them with a challenging platform so they can stretch, grow, and really discover their own capabilities. Exactly, Vincent. Psychologically speaking, this is all about providing a safe space for growth. It's exactly like a parent teaching a child how to cook. Now, if you want a perfect, spotless dinner, you just do it yourself, right? But if your ultimate goal is to build that child's confidence, you have to step back. You have to let them chop the vegetables a bit awkwardly. You have to let them spill flour all over the counter, and you just let them make a mess. You give them the room to experiment, and the result is a much more confident individual who often exceeds your expectations. Which brings us directly to the third law: do the work. Let's be very clear about this from a strategic standpoint. True authority in the corporate world does not come from a fancy title printed on your business card. You don't have to be the smartest genius in the room, but you absolutely must be willing to dive into the trenches. Earning real, unshakable respect means getting your hands dirty and solving problems side by side with your team, especially when the pressure is on. And this beautifully illustrates the idea that absolutely no task is beneath a true leader. Imagine a high-end restaurant on a Friday night. The dinner rush is overwhelming, the orders are just piling up, and suddenly the dishwasher breaks down. Now, the true leader isn't the manager standing in the corner shouting orders from a clipboard. The true leader is the master head chef who immediately takes off their pristine white coat, rolls up their sleeves, and starts scrubbing pots in the sink just to keep the kitchen moving. That is how you win hearts. That visual is incredibly powerful, Jasmine. Moving on to the fourth law, we have stand for something. In business, and frankly in life, people will only follow someone they can truly trust, and you simply cannot trust a leader who shifts their stance depending on which way the wind is blowing. You must establish rock-solid core values. Your team needs to know exactly what your bottom lines are, what you will fight for, and what you will never, ever compromise on. So the crucial point here is psychological safety. When we know exactly where someone's boundaries are, we feel safe. It's kind of like a lighthouse in a violent storm. The ocean is chaotic, the winds are wildly unpredictable, but the lighthouse never moves. It stands firm. In our relationships, whether we're talking about our colleagues, our partners, or our children, we need to be that lighthouse. When everything else is uncertain, people need to know exactly where you stand so they can safely navigate around you. That brings us to the fifth law, and really the absolute climax of Ben's journey in the book Share the Mantle. This is the ultimate test of leadership. It is the deep understanding that tightly hoarding decision-making power only breeds passive, unengaged order takers. If you want true accountability from your team, you have to do the scariest thing a manager can do. You have to give your power away to them. And we really see a stark difference in influence growth strategies when this pivot happens. This was the turning point in our case study. Early on, Ben tried to hold 100% of the power, and predictably, he had zero influence. But when he finally let go of his ego, when he shared his authority and allowed those 500 traditional manufacturing employees to have a real voice in how the buyout would be structured, well, everything changed. By shifting from hoarding power to sharing it, those employees stepped up with an incredible sense of ownership and accountability. The deal was saved not by his force, but by their empowerment. The best way to increase your influence is to give it away. What a profound, beautiful paradox. It goes against absolutely everything our egos tell us to do. But stepping back to let others shine, actually allowing them to take the reins and make the decisions, is the ultimate secret. It elevates them, and ironically, it elevates you to a level of respect and influence you could never have achieved by holding on tightly. Think about the moment you teach someone to ride a bike. As long as you are gripping onto the seat, controlling their balance, they aren't really riding, are they? They are completely depending on you. The only way they truly learn, the only way they experience the freedom and joy of riding on their own, is the exact moment you bravely take your hands off the seat and let them go. Your true influence is cemented the very moment you step back. So, as we finish up our coffees today, we want to leave you with a challenge. Look at your own life right now, your workplace, your team, your family. Who is someone you can empower today? Where can you stop pushing your own agenda, take a step back, and share your influence so that someone else can step up? Try applying these lessons and just watch how your true power transforms. This is the Jaeger Empowerment Academy, adding points to your life, fully empowering you, breaking boundaries for a life of freedom. See you next time. Bye-bye.